Folks, welcome back to the W.A.D.E Concept presented by the Ring Magazine. Chloe Concept in the back. We are finally done with my obligated duties as commentator here in Orlando, Florida this week. But on the same night that I'm calling fights here in the States, there was a fight in Budapest, is it Hungary? That featured one of the most sad and yet frustrating bouts that we potentially could have in the influencer boxing scene. Yes, I'm talking influencer boxing today. Tommy Fury made his return in front of tens of people in what looked like a part-time boxing event, part-time rave LSD trip. I don't really know how to describe it, but we have to talk about it because it's so frustrating to see what could have been and what is based on the choices made and the losses/wins in the influencer boxing scene. Tommy Fury gets a win in his return, but what does it mean? To me, it means Tommy is worse off than he would have been had he done other things. What do I mean? The breakdown. Let's go. So like I said, Tommy Fury, after I think almost 2 years off, his last fight being the KSI fight on the Prime card. I think that was October or November of 2023. He finally makes his return to the ring in a self-promoted bout over in Budapest. I didn't even know that this was on today. I remember something about it, and then someone let me know like a couple of hours before. Kenan Hangelik. It's definitely a butchering of his opponent's name, but the guy was 5-1. Apparently, it had over 100 amateur fights. And for me to believe that, you'd have to think that I am fluent in Mandarin. Because bullshit, the guy looked like a novice that Tommy was fighting. And when this thing was announced, I and most of the internet rightfully shat all over it. I'm talking open the cheeks up and let it fall out. On this event, you're just going to have to listen to some of the analogies I make in this video. On this event, and just the idea of Tommy returning to such a wet fart of a boxing match when we could have had Tommy Fury, Darren Till on, listen, I'm going to say it, my fight card in Manchester, the fight built around Tommy Fury that he said he couldn't do now because Darren Till was unprofessional. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but Tommy Fury is still to this day saying that he will not fight Darren Till because Darren Till didn't act right. I'm just going to play the clip.
Another name that was linked with yourself, the fight didn't materialize. That's you and Darren Till. Down the line, do you think you two will meet again? Of course, Darren and John had a bit of back and forth as well too, but do you think you and him will meet in the ring at some point?
I don't care about Darren Till. And then he just beat a man who I beat 5 years ago. You know, he was in the UFC. He can't get back in there no more.
Before we even go any further, Darren Till demolished a better version of Anthony Taylor than the guy that Tommy Fury struggled with. In 4 rounds, by the way. A fight that was supposed to be, I think, 6 or 8 rounds, somehow mysteriously. You guys remember back to the Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley 1 card? That fight was made into a 4-round fight. Again, mysteriously on fight week, maybe even fight day. But he had trouble and couldn't get Anthony Taylor out of there. He beat him, fair play, but he couldn't get him out of there. And he struggled to really land anything clean. Darren Till mopped the floor. No disrespect to AT, but mopped the floor with him. And then took him out. So Tommy flexing a win from 5 years ago, it's not even, he didn't even look as good in the win. And this is a better version of AT now in the boxing ring. So the excuses are starting to already hit, in other words.
I was chucking him a bone, obviously. Didn't know how to behave, didn't know how to conduct himself. Started throwing out stupid things, and that was his chance gone. I was his only shot at making some real money. But obviously, didn't know how to play ball, and that's what you get.
Didn't know how to play ball. Okay. Tommy Fury is referring to the fact that Darren Till rocked up to that press conference. That first presser with him and John Fury there showed no fear of either of them. Said if Tommy got out of line, he'd head kick him. After, by the way, Tommy said he would elbow KSI in the boxing ring. So, again, massive hypocrite talking about keeping himself in line and all this. And the thing that I think is hilarious about it is that Tommy Fury acts like he's not being sued, or that there's not some kind of negotiation for his fights. Going further on the platform that he screwed over, not talking about Misfits, I'm talking about another 4-letter platform, that he screwed over and just pulled out of their event, leaving them without a main event after signing a bout agreement to be on their event. There's some legal things that I don't know how they're going to sort them out. I assume it's going to be with Tommy Fury being back on that platform at some point, but he doesn't just call the shots. He's not a big draw in this scene, evidenced by the fight we just, again, you guys didn't watch. I watched because I'm cursed with a job. In Budapest, he shared his main event with a bunch of rave musicians, fanatics, and a twin duo hosting gig between two ladies. I don't even know if they knew where they were. It was an absolute shit show. And Tommy's talking like a boss man, saying he lost his chance because he didn't know how to conduct himself. Meanwhile, John Fury flips every table in front of him, grabs his nutsack every 5 seconds in a press conference. Tommy's getting in fights back in 2023 in arenas. John Fury's taking his shirt off, flopping his man tits all over everybody. But Darren Till didn't know how to conduct himself. All right, buddy. In other words, Tommy Fury wants absolutely no part of Darren Till. That's point blank, period. And not for the reasons he's saying. He knows that that's a tough fucking fight for him. And he also probably knows at this point, his level is not rising, even with his undefeated record at 11-0. Which is why he's not willing to put it up against a tough fight like Darren Till. Quite frankly, you guys say I'm glazing when I say this. He had an opportunity to fight Jake after that layoff as well, and he didn't take it. And we're going to find out why in just a second.
Was that part of it, the way that he interacted with your dad, that meant that the fight wouldn't go ahead?
No, it's everything. It's just unprofessional. Unprofessional at the end of the day. Yeah.
Unprofessional. Meanwhile, once again, I was in Dubai when Tommy didn't make weight for, rest in peace, by the way, to Paul Bamba. He didn't make weight in that fight, and they just moved the fight to whatever weight Tommy was at and just said, fuck you to Paul Bamba. Really screwed him over at that moment. And then Tommy pulls out of a fight, speaking again about unprofessional, pulls out of the fight with Darren Till over some mean words. Yeah, Darren Till's the unprofessional one. The guy that stayed on the card, saved the event, and then knocked out Anthony Taylor. Sure. Anyway, that's what Tommy had to say in the build-up, and here is the manly man face-off that Tommy and, again, don't remember his name, opponent, no disrespect to him because he actually came to fight Tommy a little bit. I mean, just kiss already, right? If that's what we're doing, just actually make out. Sure. John's loving it. That's my boy right there. Tommy Fury. The face of the Fighting Fury Club. That was the face-off, and, the fight, it was what it was. Tommy did what Tommy does. He crowded his work. He just threw a ton of jabs. His right hands were kind of chopping right hands to the body or flying over the head of his opponent. His opponent was there in the fight. Tommy won by, again, jab, clinch, the Tommy Fury special. And it was just a nothing burger of a fight. We didn't learn anything. They only went 6 rounds. And, again, it just looked like Tommy from 2 years ago, Tommy from 5 years ago, Tommy from every fight that you've seen him in since he turned pro and he's been televised, just looked the same. He didn't look any different. And yes, you could say, okay, it was because of a layoff, or it was because of this, or because of that. And maybe parts of that are true. 2-year layoff, things are going to happen, hand surgery, we get all that. But he didn't look any different. And I'm not even saying he looked worse. He just didn't look any different. There's no growth. He has hit his ceiling. Point blank, period. I don't even know if he's a regional fighter in the pro boxing ring, let alone an English title level fighter. Or again, he keeps talking about world champion. Listen, say what you want about Jake saying he wants to be a world champion. At least he's fighting. And yes, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., he's not what he once was. I understand that. But at one point, he was world champ. And is he shot from that point? Maybe. Matter of fact, that could be the case. But Jake's fighting Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Tommy Fury is fighting Budapest's finest. I don't even know if that guy is from Hungary. I have no idea. But who is that? Even off the layoff, who is that? You want to talk about, oh, well, this guy had 100 amateur fights. He's got more experience than Tommy. I didn't hear that same shit when Jake Paul went and fought Ryan Borland or Andre August. So I want to, everybody better be keeping the same energy for Tommy Fury. But anyway, the fight was what it was. Tommy wins a unanimous decision. Roman Fury was also on this card. He looked kind of the same. Honestly, they all look the same. They all want to fight like Tyson Fury, but they're not 6'9", so their hands drop, and it's a lot of feints and a lot of twitchiness and the double and triple jab, and then eventually they get caught with an overhand right or a left hook because their hands are low because they're not 6'9", and they can't frame everybody because they're normal builds. So anyway, that happened, and this is the frustrating part of this, right? Because Tommy Fury is now a part of influencer boxing, whether you like it or not, for the rest of however long this thing goes on, or crossover boxing, because I'm going to mention Jake, I'm going to mention KSI. Them losing to Tommy Fury, challenging themselves, I get it. Fair play. Decision made. Was it the right one in retrospect? Probably not, because they could have just fought each other and that would have been the challenge and we could have moved on. But it happened. Jake wanted to challenge himself against Tommy. He lost. KSI wanted to do the same. He lost. That alone gave Tommy a name. I don't care about the Fury name. I don't care about Love Island. When he's on his own, look at that crowd today in Budapest. There was probably 400 people. Maybe. And now, because he has wins over the biggest names in influencer boxing, he still has a claim to be in those fights. He has a claim to the rematches. And all he did today was devalue himself more for those rematches. Because KSI and Jake don't need him. They probably will rematch him because they're both stubborn and want to get their losses back, but they don't need him. And today made them need him even less because it proved nothing except that Tommy Fury's not a draw and he's not getting better. Maybe you could say, okay, well, because of Tommy's performance, it's more competitive and maybe Jake or KSI can beat him. But what did this do for him? Sure, maybe there was some ring rust, but it wasn't like... I just didn't see anything different. Again, I don't even think he was much worse than he normally is. He just looked the same, which is why I think we've hit our ceiling with Tommy Fury. Been boxing since what? He was 13, right? That's the whole story. Tommy's been boxing since he's 13. He's looked like this ever since. He's not changing things. It's not happening. The only thing potentially good that came out of this, and I don't even know if it is good, because who even cares? That's kind of my whole point on this thing is, who even cares what Tommy Fury had to say after his win and who he was going to call out? But we'll listen to it anyway, and you guys tell me if this gets you fired up for a fight.
I'm really curious. So the whole world is waiting for you to rematch with Jake Paul. What do you think about it?
Jake Paul's a bitch, and he's running scared. Hey, Jake, hands fixed now, baby. The hands fixed. I fought a guy in here tonight. He's had over 100 amateur fights, experienced as earth, and he's as tough as teeth. Jake Paul wants to step inside this ring. I guarantee you, next time I'll knock you spark out. I've had 2 years out the ring. This is after 2 years. I'll knock that bum out whenever he wants it.
So yeah, Tommy again goes to the well with the 2 years off and the hand surgery. I don't remember Tommy's hand being an issue in the Jake fight. As a matter of fact, I remember it being an issue with the KSI fight, but now we're flexing the, hey, hands fixed, hands fixed. The way Tommy punches, he's going to injure his hand again. The guy, when he throws a right hand, it's like a meat shovel right over someone's head. He's probably going to hit the fucking ring post with it and break the shit again. You can tell I don't really care. And that's the saddest part of this. Tommy had an opportunity to fight Jake already on Netflix. He had the opportunity for millions of dollars and turned the offer down. Apparently, there were rumors for another potential offer to come his way. Public negotiation, I get it. No one wants to do that stuff in the public. So if he was going to fight Jake, he should have done it because I don't know what the demand is now, right? Like, again, Jake's about to fight Chavez. We'll see what KSI does. He's now, talking with the ring and Big H.E., His Excellency, on something they're going to do next, I'm sure. And rumor was that KSI and Conor McGregor were going to lock horns in Alcatraz, but Conor turned it down. So when you're talking about names like Chavez Jr., Mike Tyson, Conor McGregor, outside of just pure pride and want for Jake and KSI to get their loss back, and I do think they need to revisit that, especially Jake. I do think he needs to revisit the Tommy Fury fight, but if he doesn't, it'll be because of shit like this. And that's what's so frustrating. As a fan, not even as someone that wants to watch a Tommy Fury fight, because I really don't. I don't care. This made me care even less. But as a fan of this entire story arc of influencer crossover boxing, to watch him go out and have a stinker like that, then get on one of the 2 microphones from the twin hosting ladies that were there and cut a promo like that. Jake's running scared. I'm going to knock him spark out. Tommy hasn't knocked anybody out in God knows how long. It's pure poppycock, as someone that's 70 years old would say. Tommy Fury, once again, disappoints, in my opinion. And I think that the big takeaway from that fight is, yeah, he was off for 2 years. Fair play, he came out and fought, but what for? What did we learn? What did he get? Why did he do it? Because in my book, and maybe comment section, you let me know, I think every single metric of his stock as a boxer went down with this fight. His pay-per-view draw ability, his namesake, his skill level, his talent, and his ceiling all looked like they were worse than we thought they were going into this fight. At least that's me. You guys let me know. But listen, we got a ton of stuff coming out this week. Next video will probably be me talking Manny Pacquiao's return, which I've got some very pointed opinions about. We'll see what happens, but in this wild world of combat sports, you can check in here at the W.A.D.E Concept, presented by The Ring, where we don't always have the answers, but for all the questions we do have, life continues to move forward. As far as Tommy Fury and his life and whereabouts and what happens next for him in combat sports, influencer boxing, will it be Jake? Will it be KSI? I don't know. And quite frankly, at this point, I don't know that I actually even care. But don't have those answers, so guess we'll find out.